So the time clearly is coming for the entire Mandalorian people to come together slowly but surely. We saw Bo-Katan reconcile with her former clan, with ex-wolves, with everybody. Now even the Children of the Watch have joined their ranks, and the finale for Season 3 is prepping up to be epic, an epic battle between Moff Gideon's forces and Bo-Katan's Mandalorians under her leadership. One crucial Mandalorian, though, is missing if you haven't noticed till now, and that is Boba Fett. The de facto ruler now of Tatooine has usurped the role of Jabba the Hutt previously. If you remember, in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, Bo-Katan and Boba Fett did not go well. In fact, Boba Fett even had a tussle with one of her soldiers, so things are not great. He called Jango Fett Boba Fett's donor. This is how low she thinks of Boba Fett. That is until now, I think, because things have definitely changed. Not only has Boba Fett definitely proven he is a Mandalorian through his father's armor, and we're going to discuss that later in the video, but he will also be a very valuable asset once the finale comes and once she needs every single blaster she can get her hands on. The thing I mostly noticed back in the day when they had their disagreements is that Bo-Katan basically did not respect Boba Fett. It wasn't so much that he was a false Mandalorian, since Boba Fett could prove that easily. The problem, I think, is that Boba Fett is a ruthless mercenary. At least he was. Even his father was a ruthless mercenary who would work for Separatists, for Dooku, for the Sith. Whoever paid most, he would be there. However, what we saw in this season of The Mandalorian is that Bo-Katan can forgive and forget. At least she did so with her former clan, with ex-wolves. They were acting as mercenaries who paid the most. Now they were redeemed, essentially, and came and joined her. Will Boba Fett get the same treatment from Bo-Katan as well? I mean, she has to relent, because I think she misunderstood the new Boba Fett, mistaking him with the old. Here's what the new represents. Talking about why Boba Fett removed two key elements from his old armor, now his new armor did not have those symbols. Those two symbols were, number one, the Wookiee scalps that he was wearing on his sleeve as a sign of fear. And number two, the detail that was removed in the new Boba Fett armor is his cape. If you remember in the old trilogy, he had those Wookiee scalps on his sleeve as well as the green cape. Now both of them are gone. You can make the case that they were destroyed in the Sarlacc pit, but aside from the scalps, the cape could have been returned by Boba Fett in a sense, but there is a grand reason why they're gone. Boba Fett turned a new page in his life. He is no longer that wretched bounty hunter that he was in the old trilogy, the one we saw in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He is a new man, a reformed man, and who knows, maybe the Sarlacc pit, him spending a long time in there, years perhaps, made him aware of his evil and wretched ways, belonging to a hive of scum and villainy. Now, him taking the throne of Jabba the Hutt might spell a new beginning for Tatooine and the Outer Rim as well. Since he removed those two details from his new armor, I wanted to make a video specifically to tell why he kept the symbols that he kept and what do they mean. More specifically, the one on his sleeve in his yellow shoulder pad and the one on the upper right chest plate that is all in white color. Boba Fett had these symbols for a long time. In fact, you can see them even in the old trilogy in the rusty old looking armor. But now that Boba cleaned and repainted his armor in the Mandalorian series, they are even shinier and brighter than ever before. You can see them clearly now. And so with that, why not talk about what do they actually mean for Boba Fett and why he kept them even after repainting his armor. As a bonus thing, we will talk about the dent on his helmet as well and why it was kept. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Mythosaur Sigil, or symbol. Of the two symbols on Boba Fett's armor, the Mythosaur skull on his yellow shoulder plate is the most known out of all. Now in canon, not much is known about the Mythosaur except what we heard from Quill in Season 1 of The Mandalorian, where he told Din Djarin that he could not quit in riding the blurgs, reminding him of the fact that his ancestors, the Mandalorian, rode mythosaurs in ancient times, and that blurgs were surely easier to ride. In this way, he scolded Din Djarin, but also reminded him of his past, of his people. The Mandalorians do not quit. Now, the mythosaur skull, aside from appearing on Boba Fett's armor, A Beskar replica of that skull can also be seen at the entrance of Din Djarin's covert, right at the beginning of Season 1. He also had a pendant of the skull, which he allows Grogu to hold on to, and of course the quill reference as well. So Season 1 was very adamant in explaining the Mythosaur and connecting it in canon to the Mandalorians. Now, I know what you're thinking, Boba Fett does not have an allegiance or does not consider himself to be pure Mandalorian, especially since Bo-Katan was hammering it in during the last episode of Season 2, and Boba Fett might feel either way about himself, but he still is the son of a foundling, and he chooses to wear the symbol of Mandalore. That should tell you something of why he wears that symbol and why he didn't remove it, even though he cleaned and repainted his armor, and he could have easily removed it if he wanted to. If he wanted to show everybody that he has allegiance to nobody. Even though he says that there is something inside of him that keeps him loyal to Mandalore, to the Mandalorians. The second symbol, of course, it is very popular since it is right in front of you, but not a lot of people know about this symbol, and this is Jaster Muriel's sigil. It features what appears to be a wheat branch, a red droplet, and a letter. In Legends, this sigil was worn by Jango Fett's mentor, Jaster Muriel. He was then a journeyman protector on the planet Concord Dawn. The meaning behind the sigil's imagery has never been fully explained, but the wheat likely comes from the fact that Concord Dawn is an agricultural planet, while the letter could be in Arabesh or Mandalorian language. Jaster Muriel was a member of the Journeyman Protectors, the local law enforcement of Concord Dawn, until he killed a corrupt superior officer and was exiled from the planet. This and more can be seen in the Jango Fett comic series Open Season, where Jaster Muriel saves Jango Fett after his parents are killed. Jaster then raised the boy himself until he was killed in the Battle of Korta 6, and after Jango succeeded his adopted father as the next Mandalore, in honor of his mentor, Jango displayed Jaster's sigil on his ship and later passed it down to Boba as well, who added it to his armor. Until recently, Jaster Muriel was Legends material as well, until it was canonized in The Mandalorian Season 2, when Boba Fett actually explains his lineage, starting from Jaster Muriel when he took Jango Fett in as a foundling. And the lineage led to Boba Fett, the man with the new armor, but not forgetting his past. The old and the new combine in Boba Fett's armor, and it tells a bigger and richer backstory. That's why Boba Fett removed those two unnecessary and evil traits, evil symbols, especially the Wookiee scalps. He never brought them back, but he brought back these two ancient symbols of Mandalorians and a symbol of his father's backstory. Even though he is starting a new, fresh life, he still remembers his past. He still remembers the lessons of his father and the lessons of Mandalore, of the old Mandalore. He possibly took Jabba's throne to make things right, to do great things just as Jango probably wanted to, but just couldn't. So that's it basically, but if you guys want to talk more about these symbols, then let me know. Talk to me down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.